2 out of every 3 draft beers that were poured within Philly were Schmidt's. Yeah, it was the original Schuylkill Punch.
Yeah. You in stateside can't keep up with that.
Well, that's it.
So, I mean, that was what, you said 1860?
Yep, so he came over in 1860, and that's when Schmidt started. Yep.
And it was lager brewing from the start?
It was not. Robert Schmidt's Ale House.
Ale.
That was the original?
We had all open, the brewery had all open top fermenters, wooden fermenters.
Wow.
Ale fermenters.
So, when did you start at Schmidt's?
I started in 1968.
Welcome back to Brewed Podcast. I'm your host, Richie Tevlin. And before we get started, thank you to our sponsor, Zilk & Co. We got Brad here. I guess he's outside. You can't see him. But we got Brad in the studio today. Thank you, Brad. If you guys need malt, check out Brad. Check out Zilk & Co. And he'll hook you up. Also, thank you to the beer accountant. So if you guys need an accountant, he's my accountant. He's doing great. But check out the beer accountant. So today we have on Von C. So Adam Brozzetti and Jay Von Czoernig.
Von Czoernig, yeah, thanks for having us, man.
That's better than I thought I would do. So Von C is a brewery. You guys are in Norristown, right?
Correct.
You guys were I guess Von C was founded in 2020.
Correct.
But if we trace, I guess, your guys' story all the way back, definitely the oldest brewery that we've had on so far. So I guess we probably should start with the Schmidt story, right? Can we start with the Schmidt story, like how you guys got started, and then kind of like we'll get the whole story, and then come learn all about Von C.
So my father was a master brewer, my uncle was a master brewer, grandfather's a master brewer, great-grandfather's a master brewer, dating all the way back to 1860. 6 generations removed from Christian Schmidt, who came over from Württemberg, Germany, and started the brewery.
So we are very close to the Schmidt Brewery.
Yes, we are.
So was it always here in Northern Liberties?
I believe he started, it was originally the Kensington Brewery. And I think it expanded from that point. He took it over after the first 2 years, I think he was there, as a brewer. And then he took it over at Schmidt's. And it is on the site that is second in drug.
Cool. That's
grew from there.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I've heard you guys say that at one point it was the 8th largest brewery in the country.
So it was only distributed in 14 states, and at one point in time, it was in the top 10. Yeah, they eclipsed 5.5 million barrels in their heyday.
That is crazy. And, I think you guys have also like 2 out of every 3 beers at one point sold in Philadelphia were Schmidt's.
Yep. 2 out of every 3 draft beers that were poured within Philly were Schmidt's. Yep. It was the original Schuylkill Punch.
Yeah. You in stateside can't keep up with that.
Well, that's it.
So, I mean, that was what, you said 1860?
Yep, so he came over in 1860, and that's when Schmidt started. Yep.
And it was lager brewing from the start?
It was not. Robert Schmidt's Ale House.
Ale.
That was the original?
We had all open, the brewery had all open top fermenters, wooden fermenters.
Wow.
Ale fermenters.
So when did you start at Schmidt's?
I started in 1968.
Okay, and
I started as a Drexel co-op.
A Drexel co-op. All right, I'm doing what?
Worked in packaging quality control.
And what did the packaging look like back then? Like, what was it glass bottles, cans?
It was glass bottles, returnables, non-returnables, and cans.
So I told you a little bit about William Reed before, about how he used to live here. He also told us some story about when he moved into Johnny Brenda's, they found cans in Johnny Brenda's that were from way back when.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many people are doing construction, whether it's commercial or at their homes, find cans in between like the walls. And it goes like the time capsule, just dropped it down, or maybe they just drank a lot during construction back then. I'm not sure who ate them.
I mean, I have it in my house. I have some of the beer trays. That's what I put all my coffee mugs on, the Schmidt beer trays.
Okay.
So, and then what? You guys had kegs also?
Yes, we had kegs, quarter and half barrel kegs.
Okay. And was it the same type of kegs that we have now?
No. They were different kegs. They were called Hoff Stevens.
Okay.
And you filled them through a side bung area, and then you'd cap it with a wooden bung.
Like a cask, kind of.
Like a cask, yeah. And then the tapping system was a 2-prong Hoff Stevens tap.
Wow.
and they were very difficult to clean.
I'm sure. And then what was the brew house like back then?
Well, back then we had a louder ton.
Yeah.
Certainly a cooker for our adjunct.
Yeah.
We had the mash tub, and then we had a louder tone, and we also had a mash filter. So we.
Oh, you had a mash? I thought a mash filter was like a new technology.
It was. Well, when I got there in '68, it was
brand new.
Yeah, it was very new.
Kind of new.
Wow.
And it was much more efficient. So we were able to brew 8 brews a day through the mash filter, and 4 brews a day through the louder ton.
Wow. And were you, like, what was the area like back then? Like, were you guys getting grain in by the Delaware or?
Rail.
By rail?
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything came in by rail.
So,
and then pneumatically unloaded into the hoppers.
And you guys were making 5 million barrels out of that facility, or you guys had other facilities?
Well, in '68, we were making about 2.5 million.
Okay, it's still a shitload of beer.
Yeah, it was a lot of beer. But then we grew, and we were making, in '68, we had a plant in Norristown.
Yeah.
Very close to where we have the brewery now.
Yeah.
And we had a plant in Cleveland.
Okay,
We had purchased the Carling plant in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And that was a small brewery. And we ran that, I guess, through '76. Then we closed, no, probably earlier than that. Then we closed, '74, we closed Cleveland and Norristown. And then we just ran Philadelphia.
And was it just the Schmidt brand, or did you guys have other brands that were like, kind of like sister brands off the?
Well, they had purchased a number of brands. So we had Schmidt's, we had Redding, we had Knickerbocker. We actually purchased Rheingold. We made Rheingold beer. Yeah, or even Ortlieb. We purchased them, I guess, towards the end, maybe 85, 84, 85.
And Ortlieb was still operating around.
No,
Richie
they closed, and then we took them over.
Got it.
Took their brands.
Got it. Cool. And what, like, I'm sure that there's other differences about the production brewing back then. Like, can you speak on was there a lab or like?
Oh yeah, we had very extensive labs. So we did a lot of microbiological testing. We did a lot of analytical testing.
Yeah.
We made ales and we made pilsners. Didn't make as many of the beers you have today, like very hazy beers.
Yeah.
If we made a hazy beer, it was a problem.
Well, what was your filter situation? I mean, I'm assuming you guys filter the lagers.
Yes, everything was filtered. Diatomaceous earth filters.
Cool. And I guess kind of do you see anything that like how we're brewing today is like, this is like so much different than how we did it back then?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot different because there's a lot of fermentation hopping, dry hopping, and we didn't do dry hopping back in my day.
Yeah. Did you guys make any like paleos? Like, was there any like even hoppy beers?
We made hoppy beers, but it was kettle hopped.
Okay.
Kettle hop. And then we had made a beer for McSorley's Ale House, and that one was a fermentation hopping.
Really?
And we had, many of the people that will listen to this podcast know of him, Mr. Bill Moeller.
Yeah.
He was a brewmaster at Ortlieb, and then he joined Schmidt's, and he was in charge of our McSorley's Ale.
Wow.
He done a great job preparing the hop blends for the McSorley's.
So you ever been to McSorley's? They have McSorley's Light, McSorley's Dark. That's all I have.
Like McSorley's up in New York?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were talking because I think there's McSorley's here around here.
No, that is a different McSorley's.
Maybe this was the original McSorley's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
200 barrels a week.
Yeah.
That's crazy. that is the oldest pub in the country, right?
Oldest pub in New York City. I'm not sure about
in the city.
Yeah, it's a cool pub.
It is
cool. And I guess, so the OG Pills is your recipe.
Yeah, the OG Pills is the Schmidt recipe.
Okay.
It's the same grain bill, scaled down, same grain bill.
Yeah.
We actually got the original yeast. Hops of today are a little different, but our brewmaster, Mike, did a great job.
What were hops like back then? Did you always have, was it all?
So we always had like clusters. It was whole leaf, and then we were using also pellets.
You had pellets back then?
We had pellets, yeah.
Okay.
But when I started, it was all whole leaf, and then we went to pellets.
Got it.
Then they were trying to have us go convert to extract. And we did use some pre-isomerized extract when we made the classic, because that was in a clear bottle. so we couldn't use the whole leaf or the pellets
Oh, cool.
because it'll develop a real skunky.
Yeah, definitely.
odor.
Yeah. So that was probably like cutting edge stuff, like the hop extracts.
It was, yeah. And then towards the end of my career there, we were getting into the CO2 extracted
Yeah.
hops, the critical CO2 extraction, and I think we still have those today.
Yeah, I use them. There's a nice. Wow. Okay. So
What were the kettles? You had 2 kettles?
We had 3 kettles.
400?
We had 1 kettle for the lauter tun, and then we had 2 kettles for the mash filters.
Go on 400 barrels each?
No, they were 750 barrel each. And we actually brewed high gravity. So we would we would brew the beer at a 16 Plato, and then it would ferment down, and then we would use water to dilute it down to an 11.2 Plato. And that water, that was a whole system. It had to be deaerated, carbonated. We ran it through ozonators so it would be sterile. And
did you guys have any issues with? I know a lot of breweries have issues with like dumping beer down the drain with like the water systems. I mean, you guys were such a large brewery in the city. Was there issues?
yeah, I mean, the city would come in and monitor your sewage on a regular basis, and then they would give you a surcharge hit based on what they saw.
Got
But
it.
for the most part, we didn't lose a lot. We tried to hold on to as much as you can. That's
Yeah.
running.
Yeah,
That's extract. You don't want to put that down the drain.
Yeah, but I think like the larger breweries are more efficient anyway.
Yes. Hmm.
And what was the distribution like back then? Did you guys have was the 3-tier system has obviously been around for a while?
Yeah.
Was it kind of the same system?
It was the same, and we were distributing New England. Actually, we distributed down to Florida and as far west as Ohio.
It's cool. And just kind of everywhere, all the brands everywhere.
Yeah, we had all the brands everywhere.
That's cool. So, and then when did Von C cease to exist? I guess.
Schmidt.
Well, Schmidt's.
Schmidt.
So in 87,
Okay.
May 18th of 87, I turned
Locked
the
the
key
door.
on the door, and production was done.
Turned the key with my father and walked away.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, not cool, but
And we were purchased by Heilman. So Heilman then had all the brands, and they continued to make them in their. They had 8 breweries at the time. Heilman.
and did you continue to work for them?
I went to work for them. They offered me a job, and I was responsible for 4 of their 8 plants.
And where were they located?
So the plants I had was Baltimore, Perry, Georgia, San Antonio, Texas, and
You were in charge of the plants. There's like all over the place. It was flying nonstop.
I was. It was a lot of flying.
That's crazy. So how long did the Schmidt beer? Is it still being sold? No.
Well, Heilman they had Jacob Schmidt in the Midwest. And when they got the Christian Schmidt, after a few years, they sort of merged the two together. And the Schmidt label they have now is, I don't like it, but it's a blend of the two labels.
And they just kind of killed both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think any of it's being brewed today. So
No.
And once Highlander went down, it got bought by Pabst. Pabst still has it in their legacy brand locker, but they don't brew the Schmidt's recipe.
Got it. Which Pabst is also like one of these things that like they don't even make their own beer. Like somebody else makes it.
Right.
Okay. So this was, you said 1987?
87, yeah.
87. And then you told me that you wrote a business plan in 1993.
Yeah, my brothers got to work at the brewery. I fortunately was too young. 87 was the year I graduated from high school.
Okay.
So like, Ralph, I guess I got to.
But do you remember like
right up? I remember running through the brewery, and I mean, we were there all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the plan. You know, that's. I don't know. You go to college, I'm gonna go brew.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, closed in '87, so things got switched up a little bit. But it was in the blood. We kind of always knew we wanted to do it. So that's what happens.
Yeah. So you wrote the business plan.
Yeah. So, excuse me, Von C was my senior project at Northeastern University up in Boston. So we wrote the business plan in 1993. Graduated, I think, 94. We were fairly close to opening a place in Philadelphia. We decided not to sign the lease at the time, and my partner at the time, both of our jobs kind of getting in the way and getting more and more busy and taking off.
Yeah.
So we always knew we were going to do it. We just didn't know when.
And so Schmidt's was like a large regional brand.
Yep.
Von C is very much just a craft brand.
Yep.
What was your head like at that time? Were you trying to emulate Schmidt's, or were you trying to make this like much different kind of craft? I don't want to say much different, but like a craft angled brand where you're like leaning more into like hopped lagers or hopped ales, or was that even a thing back then?
Yeah, so I went to school up in Boston. Boston was a little bit further ahead in the craft brew kind of realization than Philly was. You had a lot of beers that were kind of different up there. I think everything happens for a reason. If I would have came out with that Schmidt's recipe when I wrote the business plan in 1994, I probably would have been kicked out of the craft brew door before I even got it halfway open. So no, we weren't looking at the Schmidt's recipe at the time. We were looking at all craft stuff and doing what was kind of emerging and coming out at the time.
Yeah.
But now things are cool, things are retro. You see what they've done with things like PBR and that kind of stuff. As I got older, I got to kind of really kind of love the history of it more and more and want to bring it back. So the Schmidt's recipe and trying to revive the Schmidt's recipe became more and more important to us, especially as we were watching the market and, we love lagers. So, it was a no-brainer for us.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. Like, part of why people like craft beer is not just the flavor. I think even more so is like the story behind the liquid.
Oh yeah.
And I think that obviously you guys have a great story, and also people like craft beer because they get to feel like they're connected to the building of it, and the fact that you have a great story and you were born into this this industrial family. I think that there's a lot to be attracted to, like the Von C brand, leaning into that.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was in the Northeastern, the team that was trying to open a brewery in Charlestown, Mass, came to the university, and we did a marketing study for them.
Yeah.
Now, back then, you're talking 1993. There was less than 300 breweries in the U.S.
Yeah.
Their main question was, is there enough room to get tap handles in Boston? So again, we did a marketing study for them. We did 147, different bars and restaurants. Came back to them with a resounding, there's room for another tap handle. It's not just Sam at it.
Yeah,
you'll be good. Right. Pete's Wickers, they will be okay. And they opened a brewery called Atlantic Coast Brewing Company in Charlestown, Mass. It was open for about 10 years. It was a Alan Pugsley system, so wood-fired, brick-clad kettle, Alan Pugsley yeast, traditional English ales. But it was a super cool learning experience for myself because I got to go, through their build out to when they started brewing beers.
Definitely.
So he happens to be the owner of Notch now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So making great Czech lagers. So it's been cool to see it come full circle.
Definitely.
And that was kind of my inspiration. I knew.
Well, you saw him close. What was it, Atlantic
Coast Brewing Company was about 8 to 10 years he was open total. And then he went to a little pilgrimage to Czech and Germany. He came back and said, all right, this is what I'm doing.
That's cool. That's cool. So when did Notch open up?
I think don't quote me on this, but I think he's been open about 8 years, maybe.
Okay, so he was a couple years before Von C.
Yeah. Yep.
So what was the final, straw that broke that you were like, all right, we need to bring Von C back? Because you said you
So yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't tell the full story. So it was myself and my brothers. We were Prizim Brewery.
Prizim?
Yep.
Yeah.
Had closed and was going to auction.
Yeah.
It's in my backyard this whole time. The brewery's always in the back of my mind, no matter what else I was doing.
Yeah.
It was always in the back of my mind. I'm like, it's in my backyard. It's an auction. I got to go see it, right?
Yeah.
So I went and checked it out. 20-barrel system, I believe it was. 15 or 20. I can't remember exactly what it was. So I went down to the shore that weekend. My brothers were there. We were sitting on the back deck drinking some beers. It was like, hey, you guys want to go to this auction and, auction onto this brewery? What do you think? You want to buy a brewery? And I don't think I got the full sentence out. And my both brothers were like, yeah. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that kind of reaction.
You're just waiting for somebody to say it?
Oh, yeah. I was like, all right. And I called up my old partner who I wrote the original business plan. I was like, oh, this place is going to auction. It's in the backyard. What do you think? I'm like, would you be interested? You want to throw some money together and see what we do? Yeah. So everyone was in. And I was surprised to get that reaction.
And this was 2019?
Yeah, this is probably somewhere around there. Maybe a little bit earlier than that. No, it's probably even earlier than that. Let's say 2017, probably something like that.
Okay.
Both of my brothers, their first careers were kind of winding down. and they weren't ready to retire, so they were chomping at the bit. They're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I went to the auction. We all put some money in that we were kind of comfortable with. Went to the auction, and it came down to 3 of us. I went about 10 grand over the amount that we all agreed that we were comfortable with, and I finally bowed out and watched the other 2. It went for I think if I remember correctly, $6,000-$7,000 more than where I bowed out for. So I went back down to the Shore House that next weekend. And I was like, we were this close.
Yeah.
To owning a brewery. I'm like, you guys really serious? Like, yeah, we're 100% serious. I was like, if you're really serious, we should break out the business plan. Let's dust it off. A lot of things.
Yeah, if you're serious, just losing that's not what should stop you. Yeah.
A lot of things have changed since then. If you're really serious, we'll dust it off. But at that point in time, that was kind of the first kind of blip in the craft world. So there was a good amount of equipment kind of going out there being used.
Yep.
I said, we'll keep an eye on the used market. Something's going to come up, and we'll see what happens. And again, they were so into it. They were like, I was surprised at how into it they were. So we did exactly that. We kind of just kept the feelers out there for something that was used. And Thomas Hooker was getting rid of a 20-barrel pub system.
20-barrel pub system?
Yeah. Well, that's what we're brewing on today, the 20-barrel pub system, man. Old school. And the price was good. I called that guy up. I was like, hey, does this looking good in person as it does in the pictures?
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah. I said, he's like, it's a workhorse. We brew 2 batches a day on it 6 days a week. I was like, all right. I was like, when can I come to see? He's like, I just told you we can brew 2 batches a day. I was like, all right, I'll be there at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I went up, we brewed a batch of beer on the system with him and tried to haggle. And he's like, really? I got 4 or 5 people on the internet calling me. You're here the next day. He's like, you're probably not really going to haggle, are you? I was like, well, I'd like to. So long story short, we signed on it, and he was doubling the size of his system. And he's like, my new system should be here on this date. He goes, I need 2 weeks to 2 to 3 weeks to kind of hone it in, make sure I do the number I'm supposed to get to on the new system. And I need this out of here in 2 weeks. Can you make that happen? I was like, sure, we can make that happen.
Did you have a space yet?
No, I had nothing.
This episode of the Brewed podcast is brought to you by Zilka & Co., your trusted regional brewing supply partner. Family owned for over 100 years of business, Zilka Brewing Supply has recently partnered with Breweries to bring you your favorite raw materials at a great price with $5 flat rate shipping. No pallet or liftgate charges thanks to their own fleet of regularly maintained trucks. With locations in Allentown and Hunker and a technical brewer on staff, they provide the expertise and service your brewery deserves. Reach out to Brad Adelson in the show notes and let him know Brewdat sent you. Hey, brewery or small business owner, are you tired of navigating complex brewery accounting and taxes on your own? Staying up late working on financials and getting your finances in order after a whole workday? At the Beer Accountant, they understand the unique financial challenges of the craft brewing industry. They're a CPA dedicated to helping breweries like yours thrive, with services ranging from qualified bookkeeping, business tax prep, to strategic financial planning. Stop wasting time on spreadsheets and focus on what you do best. Making great beer and running a small business. Servicing over 50 breweries in 4 states. So if you own a brewery or small business, stop overpaying for reactive support and start being proactive with the Beer Accountant. Don't brew that IPA without this CPA. Visit beeraccountant.com to learn how their specialized expertise can help your brewery grow, profit, and succeed.
I had absolutely nothing. So again, I came home. I was like, okay, I put a down payment on it. I was like, okay, we just bought a brewery. Now we got to find a place to put it. And I didn't really want to tell my current employer, hey, I just bought a brewery. I'm leaving shortly, right? But I've worked with them for 35 years. Great family to work for, and totally supported me throughout this whole thing. But at the time, I was like, I still didn't want to kind of spill the beans.
Yeah.
But it came down to I had to because I had no place to put this. I was like, can I store this in one of the warehouses? And they were super nice. I stored the entire brew house, fermenters, everything for, I bet you, more than 5 years.
Were your coworkers walking in like,
this? People were walking around. People like, it's in the way, man. You're going to get this stuff out of here? I'm like, yeah, soon, sometime. But we went on like a 4-year building search. Our first building that we kind of chased down was in the Navy Yard. Unfortunately, the Navy Yard, there's so much red tape. Like, they didn't know if the buildings were in flood zone, weren't in flood zone.
I keep looking at spaces, and everyone keeps telling me, like, look at the Navy Yard. It's cool.
Great spot. It'd be cool. But the problem is that all those buildings are like 80,000 square feet or bigger.
They're all enormous. Also, I think it's kind of weird. It's like people work down there, but nobody lives down there.
Yeah.
So
And it's starting to get like I think they're starting to rehab that one.
Oh, really?
To put some residents in.
Yeah.
But there's over 50. I mean, this is years ago when I looked at it, but there's over 15,000 people that came through those gates every day and worked there. So
Yeah.
and the building that we were looking at was fairly close to the stadiums.
No, and it is all young people that have money like to drink. It is a cool spot.
So we chased that building for way too long, and finally said, "This isn't going to happen." It's just, again, the buildings were 80,000 square feet. We only wanted 20,000 max. I'm like, they had to find other people to do it before they put the money back into the building.
Yeah.
It was cool. There's 20, 30-ton cranes in those buildings, so it would be a cool spot. But so we walked away from that building, looked at a building in Great Valley, chased that down for a while. Actually had a signed lease, and we're doing engineered drawings. The building was 73,000 square feet. Again, I think we were looking to take 18 of it at a time. And someone came in and took all 73,000 square feet. And the landlord was like, listen, I got to do this.
Yeah.
You're only taking 18 or whatever it was. I got to do it. So we lost that. And then we had looked at the building that we're in now a long time ago. And it was in pretty bad shape. It needed a lot of help. And we weren't ready to take on. It's a 100,000 square foot building. Again, we only wanted 16. But in the meantime, a new investment group had bought the building, young investors. And I don't know how they heard, but they heard a brewery had looked at it in the past. And I think they thought it would just be cool to have a brewery in a building they owned. So they somehow found our real estate guy and said, hey, can you get those guys to come back and look at this building? So he called me up. I said, hey, okay, let's put something together. So I sent him an email and said, hey, to look at the building, I would need X, Y, and Z. The guy called me back the next day. I was like, damn, man, I didn't make my list long enough. I should have asked for more. But in all reality, to have a landlord who was kind of motivated to have a brewery in there,
Yeah, definitely.
it was great. Unfortunately, we signed the lease. Unfortunately, whatever way you want to go about it, but we signed the lease in March before the pandemic hit.
I can't get worse than that.
No. So we had been on a long building search, signed the lease. We knew what was percolating overseas. I remember looking at my brother. I was like, should we sign this? He's like, what do you mean, should we sign this? He's like, we've been looking forever. If we don't sign this, we're never going to get a building. So we signed it, and literally 15 days later, the world shut down. I was like, oh, my God, what did we do? This is nuts.
Well, if you signed 8 months earlier, it probably would have been worse.
Yeah.
It's almost like you kind of got to build out. I mean, I'm sure.
And our landlord was cool. He gave us some extra months. He worked with us. He obviously unprecedented times. He worked with us, but what a frustrating experience.
Definitely.
Trying to build out during the pandemic. I was still working full time. Doing that at night. And it was silly. It's a 16,000 square foot building. We're trying to get contractors to come in. You can't work. There's a pandemic. I'm like, it says 16,000 square feet. You're the only ones in there. I think you're pretty well social distance.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Like, do you not want to work?
Yeah.
Or can you not work? So,
Yeah.
electricians would pop positive. Okay, now we're a month and a half behind.
Right.
You're not needed.
Yeah, and then
you
it's
wouldn't see it.
like slingy.
Yeah.
So we knew no matter what was going on with the
Slinky.
pandemic.
Yeah, slinky.
You had to be very flexible. You had to put the blinders on. You really just had to put the blinders on or you're going to go nuts.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm leaving a perfectly good job that I've been at for 35 years, and I'm building a place that no one can even come into.
It's like Field of Dreams. It's in your blood. It's calling you.
I'm gonna get someone to come down a dead end street in Norristown so I can walk out with a mask on and hand them a 4-pack. I can't even tell them the story or nothing. What am I thinking?
Yeah, well, what
kind of plan is this?
It's like it's part of the story. It's like
So we knew no matter what was going on with the pandemic at the time, people were itching and chomping at the bit to drink beer outside.
Yeah.
And we have a nice 3,000 square foot outside beer garden. So we knew no matter what, we had an outlet.
And you're right by the zoo, right?
Yeah, we're basically in the Elmwood Park Zoo's backyard on Stanbridge Street.
Cool.
In between the Elmwood Park Zoo and the old Norristown State Hospital.
Cool.
So we knew no matter what was going on, people would be outside drinking some beers. So we tried to go, our first goal was to get up and done by March. Because of the pandemic, that wasn't...
March 2021?
Yeah, that wasn't able to happen. So we got real lucky. Just about the time we were going to open is when the governor kind of started lifting a lot of the pandemic restrictions. So we were able to bring some more tables in compared to what we had.
Yeah.
We were about 2,500 square foot of tasting room inside. So we were able to be in there social distance. It would have worked, but, it kind of looked odd, right?
Yeah.
So, we had a soft opening for all the contractors who worked on the job, which was not soft at all. We had a soft opening for friends and family, which, again, was fairly well attended and drank a lot of beer. We thought we had enough beer in the tanks for about 2.5 weeks. That's Friday, I think it was. we said only if you were following the build out on our website. No social media splash, no nothing. You had to be on our website following out. We just put a thing on there. We're going to be open from this time to this time on Friday.
Yeah.
By 4 o'clock that Friday, I was crossing stuff off the chalkboard. We were going to run up here. We ended up only having ESB left.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very small amount. I think it was like a half keg of ESB left. And I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to think we're idiots. We had to put a sign on the door that we were closed for the next 2 weeks. And these batches started coming out of the big system.
Yeah.
Open back up.
How many people came that were like old Schmidt employees or people that had drank Schmidt's in the past? Was that what it was? Or
it was cool. Yeah, it was a good amount of both. I think it's still the coolest part about our tap room is you can sit back and there's, a lot of the older people who are there because of the Schmidt's recipe.
Yeah.
But these are the people who are also telling our kids like, I drank this with your grandfather, your great grandfather, or, whatever it is.
Whenever I see people there, they come to me. Jay will say, Adam was the last brewmaster there. Oh, my grandfather worked there. My uncle worked there. And they'll throw names out, and I remember them. I was at Lansdale Beer Fest 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and the guy came up to me and said, my grandfather worked at Schmidt's. And I said, what was his name? And I'm going to say it because it's a prof to him. Henry Garbet. Henry Garbet is passed. But Henry Garbet, I met him the first day I interviewed there. I went to interview, and I got the job. Henry Garbet was in charge of the bottle house. I was in packaging quality control. I met with the director of packaging quality control, and then Henry Garbet came in and said, where's this guy you're going to hire? And he introduced himself to me. And it's just amazing. And this happens so many times, meeting people with relatives from Schmidt's Brewery at Beer Fest. There's just still a huge Schmidt following out there.
Definitely. That's very cool. And the story of Von C is just like, and your whole family. It's very cool that like it's not just you that's doing it.
No, it's myself and my two brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like reigniting the family tradition. It's like it didn't even stop. It's not like it skipped a generation either. You're able to kind of just keep it going, just a different brand.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like we've been on a couple Schmidt's days at the brewery, and I think as the brewery goes, the whirlwind of opening, the craziness of everything that's gone on in the past 5 years, whatever. When we do those Schmidt's days, and you sit back and you kind of look at the bar. One, it's our biggest cash days we ever have because all these old guys they're not swiping their card, they're handing the cash over. But to see those guys sit there and just talk shop, and especially the first one was pretty cool. That's the only time I kind of sat back. I looked at the bar, and it was all Schmidt's employees. Like 28 of them there. Yeah. They're coming in with their employee cards and their handbooks and stuff and getting those. And that's the first time I sat back. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Definitely.
And these guys are thanking us. I'm like, what are you thanking me? I'm like, if I can do like 1/1000th of what you guys did, I'd be happy as a clam. Like, oh, this is great that it's staying on. One of the best stories was during our build out. We are still like full construction, stuff everywhere, holes, floors ripped up. This older guy and it was his daughter showed up, and he wanted to see the place. I had no clue who this guy is, and someone's knocking at the door. I opened the door. He couldn't talk that much, so the daughter's kind of interpreting. So he worked his entire life at the Scheidt Brewery in the bottling room. Heard that this was going to be Schmidt's, and said, I worked for his grandfather. I worked for the bond church. We got to go see this place. So his granddaughter or daughter brought him to the brewery. So we rolled out the red carpet. We gave him a tour, the whole deal. And he was just floored by it and loved it. So whatever, we get an email from the daughter, thank you guys very, very much. We had not seen our father or grandfather, whatever it was, that excited or talk that much in a lot of years. So we thought that was really cool. Another week goes by, we get another email. And she said, my grandfather wants you to have some. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get a bottle or something, right? He had the plaque that hung in the boiler room of the Scheidt Brewery that was the tribute to all the people in World War II, right? World War I and World War II.
Wow.
And it was, I said, I can't.
It's a relic.
I was like, I can't take that. He's like, I want you to display it. I want you to have it. So the stories that come like that, our whole tap room is nothing but Schmidt's memorabilia. Yeah. And it just continues to grow because people come back, like, people give us clocks. This was in my man cave. It belongs here, and it's just pretty neat to see.
It's cool So we talk a lot on this podcast about like the culture and like how much like breweries or bar life. It's just like the culture. It's like it's life. This is like what life is important. Like these people are coming in like 40, 50 years later.
Yeah.
And like it is so important to them that it's like, you know, the happiest she's seen her dad in forever. You know, it's crazy.
You're joking. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Really, it means a lot to a lot
I
of
mean, we have the Schmidt days. You know, I talk to a lot of the people there, and they're just so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, my grandfather used to drink this. My father used to drink this beer.
Yeah. Do you think it's the same?
Pardon me?
Is it the same?
To my taste, this is the same as Schmidt's.
Cool.
It really is. And other Schmidt guys that have come to the
I know
brewery
you're only same, but do you
have the same feeling.
I got 50 cases of Schmidt's for graduating high school, so I had a keen to the taste for sure.
You know, it's funny, when we made our first brew we made was an OG, and it was the Schmidt recipe.
Yeah.
And in the brew house, in the kettle, I mean, we before we added the hops, we're mashing it in, and we get it mashed in, and they say that your sense of smell has the best memory. You
Yeah.
can remember things through your sense of smell.
Yeah.
And when the brewmaster mashed in, I said, okay, I got it from here. And I went up there.
He was like, step down, youngins.
Mixing some stuff. And when I smelled that grain, it was unbelievable. It brought me back 40 years. I mean, it really was unbelievable.
That's crazy.
The smell was the brew.
Just like all the memories.
Yeah, all the memories. And then all the other formulas started coming. And so,
The best part of the story was at the end of the brew day. We walk off the brew deck and we're tasting the wort. And Adam goes, I nailed it.
yeah.
Very strong.
Our brewmaster, Mike, he's great. He's a good brewer. Mike Foley.
Great job for sure.
And I'm sure you guys still have like some of the paperwork from back in the day as far as like brew logs or recipes and stuff like this.
We recently got a bunch more.
Yep.
Someone brought it in. Old formulas. And it's funny because they brought a recipe in, and I looked at it and I said, boy, my memory's not that bad. I nailed that. It's the truth.
That's cool.
Yeah, some of our beginning meetings, we were writing stuff down on napkins.
Right.
So we talked about Rich Wagner a little bit. That Rich Wagner is the favorite podcast we've done so far. It's like
He's a great guy.
the history that he's had and like you know like tracking and like you know like unearthing all this stuff.
Yep.
But I'm sure. I mean, you guys probably have like unlimited access to.
Yeah, well, we did 2 history days with Rich Wagner at the brewery. So he did the rise, fall, and rebirth of Schmidt's.
That's cool.
It was about an hour and a half presentation, which was cool because most of us, my family was there, my dad was there, and Adam was there. There's a lot of Schmidt's guys there.
Yeah,
and there was stuff in that presentation. Where you guys didn't even know, which is cool. He does a great job.
He's a great guy.
It is good. So what recipes came from Schmidt's? Is the OG pills? Are there any other recipes? Was it the Vienna?
So the
OG Pills is a family recipe dating back to 1860.
Yeah.
Won gold at the World Beer Cup in 2023 as the best American Pilsner.
I remember that. It's sick.
Right.
It still got it.
No, our number one seller by far.
The Midnight.
Midnight Prior.
Yep,
Prior Dark, and the Prior.
brewed in Norristown.
Cool.
Prior Double Dark.
So I have to ask you, we've talked about this on the podcast. I don't know if this is a touchy subject. OG Pills, the name. In my mind, OG is original gangster. And from
What else?
stories that
what else in your mind is it? OG? Original Gravity.
Original Gravity. Okay. All right.
Your turn.
All right.
No, it's Original Gangster.
It's original gangster?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, yeah, that's what I thought. It was just like, it was a very cool name that, like, it kind of
They called me the gangster.
Yeah. Mine here's your OG.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I've been telling people, like, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but, like, now that we have you here.
So it depends on the crowd they were talking to or speaking to that day. So the Original Gravity, a brewing term, OG, Original Gangster. It's the OG. It's a legendary Philly lager. It's the OG.
Yeah, it's cool because I'm 32, and like what I think of like when my parents talk about like the Philadelphia beer scene, they weren't around in the 80s in Philadelphia, but they talk about like Yuengling, but to think that this had like even a tighter grip on the Philadelphia market, like significantly more than Yuengling is like kind of insane to think that like
back then it did, yeah. Yuengling was small. They were very small.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, I mean, 2/3 of all the beer that's sold in Philadelphia is an insane stat. It's like going into bars and like literally every single person there is just drinking the beer.
Yeah,
you're absolutely.
2 out of every 3 drafts. was the Schmidts.
Right.
That's insane. Okay, so Vonsi.
Yes, sir.
So besides just the Schmidt recipes, like what have you guys kind of like worked on or like?
Yeah, so I think as Adam already said, I mean, our brew team does a great job. There's a lot of breweries out there that have specialties in certain areas.
Yeah.
Our brew team has done a real kick-butt job of kind of going across the whole gamut.
Yeah.
So our best seller is OG Pills. Walking on Clouds is our flagship hazy, which you're drinking there. You get a whole lot of mango, grapefruit, a little passion fruit on the tail end of that one. Our Vienna Lager won Best PA Lager for the last 3 years in a row. We have our Helles Lager. Again, if we're doing something, we'd like to do beers that taste like beer. We like to do beers that are traditional and correct to style.
Yeah.
So if we're doing a Vienna Lager or a Helles Lager, it's 100% German ingredients.
You said you brewed at ESB before also?
We did, yeah. We've brewed a bunch of small stuff. So what we do is we have about 8 cores that we have at all times that are available in 16-ounce cans, sixtels, and halves. And then we usually have 2 or 3 seasonals that kind of come and go around those. ESB was one of them. Our West Coast is one.
And you brew that on the 20-barrel system also?
Yeah, we can go 20-barrel or, we have a three-barrel system or 2-barrel system or a 20-barrel system. All of our fermenters are 40-barrel fermenters. So, if the capacity is needed, we can bump up and double batch into them, allowing us to kind of ebb and flow with what we want to do. We were self-distributed for the first 3.5 years. It's a lot easier to kind of mix and match and do what you want to do when you're self-distro. Once you kind of get into the distributor world,
it's another layer.
They might not want as many SKUs as you might want to brew for them. So that's been a bit of a learning curve for us every past year. But we're distributed in the Philly 5 by Muller, and they've done a really, really good job for us.
What was the plan from the beginning to be distributing? Because you guys had this background. A lot of people that get into craft beer that start a brewery come from either home brewers or they started at small breweries. You guys were the opposite. You guys came from the largest of the large of your experience.
Yeah, we did a little bit of all three, though. I did a lot of home brewing. Obviously, we had the large in the history.
Yeah.
And also, the whole thing was changing when we kind of decided to open this up.
Yeah.
We knew we wanted to be a production brewery.
Yeah.
That was our goal. With a family history, with a name, we wanted to be a production brewery. We knew that we could only tell the story the best, so we knew we wanted to be self-distributed for probably that first year and a half.
Yeah.
We held on for 3 years.
Yeah.
But it really came down to that was a full-time job. I mean, I did nothing but drive kegs around for...
Yeah, at some point, it's like you have
12 hours a day, and kegs were a lot lighter when I was in high school and college. So we knew, it was either time to buy 3 more delivery vans and hire more people or hand it off to someone who had the infrastructure. And it made sense for us at the time to hand it off to someone who had the infrastructure. And as I said, Muller's done a really, really good job of continuing the growth.
But we also knew that if we were able to build a base, it would be an easier sell to the distributor. I mean, you bring a distributor in and say, here's our first brew. It's like, well,
Yeah.
what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
Grow it. But we went to them and we said, we already have this base, 500 accounts. We are in supermarkets.
Yeah, you guys grew very quickly. Like a lot of...
Yeah.
Most startup breweries, it takes them a while to get to the size that you guys were at, like multiple thousands. And like you guys kind of jumped right into it.
Yeah, I think
Granted, it was hyper local, but at least the distributor said, you got a nice following here, and then we can just expand from that, which they're doing.
as we said with that pandemic start, like it had pros and cons. You know what I mean? I came to the door of all these bars and restaurants at a time where the distributors were, okay, you might only get a delivery every 2 weeks. There's going to be a surcharge. Your minimums are through the roof. I was happy to sell a case. I went into some of these accounts like, I can buy a case?
Yeah.
And you'll deliver it? I was like, hell yeah. I'll sell you whatever you want. So I was like a breath of fresh air for a lot of these bars and restaurants. And it's really like it helped our initial growth and grab market share quickly because a lot of the smaller accounts were bitter at the bigger distributors. We've been supporting them for all these years. We got a kick to the curb.
Yeah.
I can't overcome these minimums. I'm a small little bar.
Yeah.
So I walked in, it was like a breath of fresh air. And I think that really helped us grab some of that market share early on. Mm-hmm. And obviously, again, there's almost 10,000, maybe more than 10,000 some breweries in the U.S. right now. And we've gotten to the point where the beer's not good, there's no chance. But if the beer is good and you have a good story, and you have a story in the history of where you're trying to push it, it was a good combo for us. So as we said, we were able to come to our distributor with a very good base and
We had a good story.
Yeah.
Good story, good beer.
Yeah.
Kind of perfect storm. So the tap room, well, it was always the plan also to have a tap room connected to you guys, because you guys have a massive tap room.
Yeah, it was. So it's funny. Like, again, that's one of the things when you had to break out the business plan. Taproom wasn't a thing in '93.
Yeah.
When I wrote the business plan, like this, people had like a tasting room. Like, okay, there's a place so you could get after the end of the tour, you'd have a little sip.
Yeah, or it's like a
and usher it out the door.
Yeah.
That was it, There weren't really many brew pubs or tap rooms around. Tap room wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the thing that has changed, that made the whole business work a little bit better. But again, our business plan was never to be a tap room only kind of brewery. It was to be a distro brewery. So we had 16,000 square feet, big fermenters, and is it a lot of knock on wood? It's worked well for us,
Definitely. I think a lot of breweries start small and they don't realize the step that you're in, which is like the larger step. It's like that might be kind of the first better step anyway.
And it's a fine line to walk, Okay, I don't want to put $80,000 into these floors and outgrow them in 3 years and have to leave them behind.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to pay an excessive amount of rent for 5 years until I actually am utilizing that.
For sure.
It's a fine line, and you're really trying to make your best guess of where you're going to fall within that fine line. And some have guessed correctly, some have guessed non-correctly. But again, that pandemic, when even the small breweries, everyone had to get in cans to get to their customers. And that just made such a glutton into the market. There was people there that shouldn't have been there. They had they had reason to be there because of what was going on in the pandemic. But in a real beer world or a real retail world, there wasn't any real reason for them to be there. So, again, there's a lot of things changing at that time, and it was interesting to try and kind of navigate where we thought we wanted to be and where we should be. And I think we've done a half decent job, kind of.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the pandemic obviously changed people's drinking habits, but now that the drinking habits now is like there's a lot less people drinking. But how much of that is just kind of a correction from how much people were drinking the last couple of years? It's almost like the hangover, but then they'll get tired of not drinking the next couple of years. It's almost like if the pandemic didn't happen, would we be where we are right now?
Yeah, I don't think you would be, but you'd be in a different spot for sure. I mean, the pandemic took out a lot of those accounts, the smaller accounts that, the mom and pop bars and restaurants. A lot of that didn't last through the pandemic, which changed a lot of things. Okay, you're selling to these bigger bars and then not to the smaller bars. But yeah, it's such a changing market. It probably would have been something else if it wasn't the pandemic. That
for sure, yeah.
And fighting, but yeah, who knew, RTDs were going to become a thing, and try and fight for shelf space with you. You're like, oh, what's next? Well, what's next.
Our tap
We're
room's
going to
doing
TEC,
Yeah.
And our tap room's doing well, and it continues.
Yeah, knock on wood. So I'd love to sit here and tell you I did all the demographic study. I knew where I was walking up. There was this many people around us where we were opening up. We were looking for cheap space, cheap rent, and a good amount of space that could accommodate big fermenters and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we got pretty lucky. But I'm blown away every day that in that tap room, the amount of local support we get from Norristown and people walking through the farm part and bringing their dogs or riding across the bike trail. And we are on the Schuylkill River Trail connector from the Norristown Farm Park to the Schuylkill Trail. So, some Sundays there's more bikers in there than there's people driving there,
Yeah.
riding their bikes there. So it's neat. And it's, you're getting into it. It's hard. Okay, you try and create an atmosphere in your tap room, and are you going to get it right? As you said, your tap room's huge, and it is. It's a big space, but I think you can come into that tap room even on a Tuesday night when, okay, there might only be a handful of people there, but it still feels very small and homey bar-like.
No, it feels real. It feels like the industrial feel.
The building, the bricks, the exposed, the natural light that comes in, the windows that are open. I mean, you're drinking.
It goes with your brand also.
Yeah, you're drinking 5 feet from the tanks. Literally 5 feet from the tanks. And, we always, should we have more TV? Should we have less? We're not a sports bar. We're a place. And I can sit there and I'll come in for my shift. We all the owners, my brothers and I try and take at least one shift during the weekend. But you walk into the bar that day, and I can't tell if these two sat next to each other because they were friends, or did they come in together, or are they sitting there just shooting the shit, having a couple beers, and now they're like pals. They're like,
it's a community hub,
and it's a real cool spot.
So I know you guys had the beer Cut Loose Juice. So I actually wrestled with Jordan in
Oh,
high
did you?
school. Yeah.
That was awesome.
So that routine. But I guess you guys do have the large space, and like I guess they came in and they were doing like their exercise class there.
Yeah, so they were in the same boat as we were. They started their business during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Which is an exercise business, so they had never met any of their customers.
Yeah.
It was all online, all over Zoom and whatnot. So
Yeah, I remember watching it.
yeah, they had never met their customers. So they came to us and said, would you do a beer for us? And again, we were new to Norristown. I mean, my grandmother lived, next to the Scheidt Brewery her entire life, but, we really wanted to be local and ties to Norristown and support the community.
Yeah.
So when they came in, I was like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, they had a cool story. So, 8.1% beer, 8.1 was when they met.
Yeah.
So it had some cool ties, and they would kind of sat down and then developed a beer. And, they do workouts at the brewery and stuff. It's a cool little partnership.
Yeah, it's you're talking about like the community hub. It's like you're pulling it. We had this girl in the other night. She runs Pitch a Friend. It's like where you go. It's basically like a dating event where like you go and you give like a PowerPoint presentation to your friend about like why somebody should date your friend. But she has a lot.
That's a crazy idea. I'm not sure how it goes over.
It's literally worldwide. She's in like 70 countries or something. It's insane. And she just started like 3 years ago. But most places that she does it is breweries, not at bars. But it's like breweries offer this space that is like, it's more than just a bar. It's like this meeting space. It's like this community.
Yep. And I think if you can capture that feel, I think it's huge. I think it's huge for you.
Yeah.
It really is.
So at Schmidt's, you guys didn't have a tap room, I'm assuming, right? Because
We had a tap room. Yeah. It was called, it was the Beer Stoop. I forget, it was German, had a German name. I forget the name. But we did have a beer room that was open to the public probably up through 1975. And then it was just for employees only. It was right on Gerard and Gerard Avenue and 2nd Street.
We still have the original faucet from that.
Yeah.
on which side? That's my address.
Second and Gerard?
Yeah, I live right at Second and Gerard.
So it was Edward Street and Gerard Avenue.
Okay, I'm Palethorpe, so I think I'm on the other side maybe.
So Second, then Edward, and then there's Gerard here.
Okay.
So the brew house was right in between, so it was under the brew house.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've been to the, have you been to Breeze Malton?
No.
In Wisconsin? Have you been there?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
So they have a bar there that is like, it's not open to the public. It's just for employees, for shifties, and you walk in and it's a full bar just for people to drink beer after their shift at work.
Yeah, Roger Brees was a good friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. He
That's
sold us a
awesome.
lot of the specialty malts.
That's
the dark
cool.
malts, the black malts.
So, like Breeze now is like the craft malting, but
Yes.
I guess you were people buying Breeze back then, or you like?
Oh yeah, you
guys
brought
were-
from Brees. They made the dark malt,
Yeah,
caramel malts, because we made dark beers. So we
Yeah.
buy some of their malts.
that's cool. That's awesome. What about the hop suppliers? Were they kind of the same? Like, because hop suppliers are like
back then. The main hop suppliers were John I. Haas,
Yep, still is.
Steiner.
Okay.
I think they might have been bought by Haas. Who were the others? Yakima Chief.
So they
They
kinda
weren't back then. They were owned by someone else at the time.
Okay.
I think Yakima Chief was purchased.
Yeah.
But John I. Haas was they were big.
Yeah, because the hop companies have done a great job at like they're all saying like 4th, 5th generation farm.
Oh yeah.
And like I just think of you guys. So it's like there's not many people that are like that many generations in. Like I know Yuengling is, and I can't name a single other brewery that's like multiple generations in.
Yuengling has us by 3 years, right? 1857 they were. We were 1860. So close. So close.
That's crazy. Okay. So what do you think is next for Von C? Do you guys have plans to expand? Is it another tapper maybe, or just kind of keep doing what you're doing?
For us, it's mostly keep doing what we're doing. We are not, again, our business plan was not to have multiple tap rooms.
Yeah.
So we are kind of going in the continue to ooze out and grow how we are. So right now we're distributed from Southern Jersey through Harrison Beverage up to the New York State line through Banco, Muller, Mid-State, Kirshner, all the way out west to State College.
Cool.
We'd love to fill in some Delaware area, and we got some meetings with them coming up here shortly. So hopefully we can kind of get down there. So it's really just kind of just.
But I like that, like leaning into the wholesale, because craft beer has come now to like how small can you get? And everybody's just like, no distribute. Oh, we don't distribute. Right. We only self-distribute. We're opening up all these tap rooms. It's like you got to zig when everyone else is zagging. You know, it's like. And
as we did a bit at first too, you know, we came out with an adjunct lager when all these lagers. Like, why do you guys have 6 lagers on tap? I'm like, yeah. Well, we also have 6 IPAs, but we have 6 lagers on tap.
Yeah, but you plant your flag with the OG pills, and kind of like again ties it right back into your story.
It's a family history. Yeah.
It's cool. Okay. I guess we've been here for almost an hour. Do you guys have any other things to promote?
I could talk for 10 hours if you want. Yeah, whatever you need.
What can we? Do you guys have stuff happening at the tap room?
So tap room's open Tuesday through Sunday. We do food trucks Thursday through Sunday. We don't have the food component there, so we have different food trucks every day, Thursday through Sunday. I would love to promote it at our Oktoberfest, but it just happened last weekend. So, if you missed it.
This come out in like 5 or 6 weeks anyway, buddy.
We do something every weekend at the brewery. We're much like yourself, running around doing all the beer fests.
Yeah.
Whether it's Lidditz, Kennet, just at Glassboro last week. So, doing the Brewfest route, and grassroots marketing, much like the podcast. So, again, thanks for having us here. It's been awesome. But nothing crazy to promote. We're going to try and continue to do what we do, which is just make quality beer that's in style. We like our beer to taste like beer. I was at Glassboro, and every time someone got an OG Pils, I was like, they wanted a description. I'm like, well, it's beer. It tastes like beer, man.
No, you're
overcomplicated.
Your beer is great, and you have a great production facility. You obviously know what you guys are doing, and I think. Everyone's supporting Bonsi. I think it's just an amazing story that it makes me smile, like everything. Like you guys are continuing the story.
Well, when you're watched driven by the guy who has to sign the master card at one point in time, it's hard to get away with that. He used to sign them no more.
Yeah, you can't mess up.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on. And where can we find you guys online? At Von C Brewing?
Yeah, VonCBrewing.com. Again, we are distributed all over. So if it's not in your local retailer, please ask for it. Our distributors are continuing to kind of ooze out and fill in any gaps that it's not at. Come visit us at the tap room. It's 1210 Stamford Street in Norristown, PA.
Right behind the zoo. Good.
If you have kids, go to the zoo. And a good thing about Elmwood Park Zoo, it was one of the first zoos in America to be able to serve alcohol.
Really?
And they have our beers on tap there, so it's worth going.
Nice. Foot off the monkeys.
Don't yell at the zebras. They're good. Nice. So yeah, come visit us at the tap room and see what we got going on. We do have a lot of limited release stuff at the tap room only that goes along with what's out in the marketplace. But there are a lot of specialty stuff that we do that we kind of hold tight to kind of keep the tap room fresh and interesting.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, telling the story. This is exciting. I like all the history stuff, so this is, an awesome episode for me. And I'm sure everyone's going to like this.
We love talking about the history.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. And then you can follow us at Brewed. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Follow us at Brewed at the Brewed Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify. Like, comment, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you very much for having us, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.